Dr. Kathy.
There you go. So I'm going to talk to you while I still have my wits about me, and I'm young enough to enjoy this journey. I'm not nervous in front of people. Yeah, I am. So anyhow, one thing I want to talk about today, most of you guys have not known me very long, but Michelle, Elizabeth, and Kim Rossbach, we all, and Joe Barron, but you weren't there at the very, very beginning, but you are still one of the, not the very, very beginning, I'm talking about the very, very beginning, but you guys came in about the same time I did. And look at the group that we have now. And what I want to do is just kind of tell you my journey, how I got here, literally. When people say, where are you from, I say, Ralph and Pat Yuhasz.
Nice.
Okay, this side, and okay, I'm going to just talk.
It's a hospital thing.
Wow, this is a rough crowd. You know, there is a 4-drink minimum, but then you're all going to run out to go to the restroom. So, but you know what? The BNI is about givers gain. We appreciate each other's business, and one thing that's really important is that we have to build that rapport to know that we trust. I got to trust that, you know, Jeff is still going to do our roof before he starts raising sheep or whatever he's going to do, you know, or maybe he'll just put the sheep on top of the roof. I don't know. We got a guy with a spaceship on his house in Whitefield. So, but you know, but one thing that's really important is that one thing that, especially even as a visitor host coordinator, is that people need to understand that people are probably not going to be referring people to you right away, because first of all, they need to build a rapport. But the thing is that most people, what they consider a rapport is not necessarily that you've got a good referral and someone says something nice about your business. It's usually because, and like in this group, we're all like family. We know each other. We know each other's character, we know everything about it, we know their background, even though she had trouble reading about it, but it's okay.
She was just nervous, it's cool.
Yeah, it's just a shih tzu thing, you know, once you have one of those, you can't think for yourself, so, but it's true, because you're too busy trying to get them dressed, you know, in the morning, and it's hard, you know, and I know what Bouncer does, you know, he has a ski suit and everything. So, but what I want to do is that a lot of you guys really just don't know my background, because when we bring people up here and then induct them, they get their 60 seconds to kind of get you up to speed at what got them to that point. And so I just wanted to give you that background so you know that what got me to where I became a chiropractor, because I had not been a chiropractor my whole life. So I was born in Paris, France, to Ralph and Pat Yuhasz. And yes, I do have a dual citizenship, you know, part French and American, just because my parents are American, okay? And I was only there for 11 months, so I don't speak French. I say some words that maybe I shouldn't. They consider that French, but I don't see that in the French dictionary. And that's only if I drop a heavy bottle on my foot in the shower. So, but anyway, I have lived here most of my life. My parents are originally from Ohio. We came here in 1965. So that gives you a good idea that I am at least 29 3/4, as I claim. And so, but I was here even through kindergarten and first grade, then we moved again. My dad was military, so I've lived in Thailand and Panama. Came back in '74 for junior high, been back ever since. And so I went to Whitefield High School, went to South Elementary, now it's Venatucci, and went to Watson Junior High, went to Whitefield High School, so everything from the south of the town. And I also went to college. My first degree is actually in physical education from Fort Lewis College in Durango. So, and then from there, actually when I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a veterinarian, okay, until I found out that you had to cut into them. And I thought that was kind of gross and creepy. I didn't want to do that because I loved animals and I didn't want to think we had to do that. And of course, you know, knowing the veterinarians that I do, they said, and other things that you don't want to do, like have to be there and put them to sleep. And I don't think I could have done that. So, and so that was really my passion at the time when I was 10, but then as time went along, I was, you know, I played volleyball and things like this, and so that's why I wanted to become a teacher. And my next passion was going to be physical therapy, and that really was my first passion. But then I realized through my journey of being in the medical field that we actually call them physical terrorists because of what they do to people. I work really, really well with them, but sometimes the timing is an issue. So as I left Fort Lewis College, I was actually going to go to CU to become a physical therapist, but they're threatening to close down the physical therapy department at the time. And I wasn't ready to transfer, so I majored in my minor. And who was it that was talking about the being a senior a couple times?
Me.
Yeah, your daughter is senior something. Well, it took me 6 years to get that 4-year degree because I had changed my major because I thought I was going to transfer. But it really was a blessing in disguise. I have a teaching degree, K through 12, physical education, and I hated it. The school system was very, very stressful, and I was in a really good school system. RE2 was a very good school system in Durango, but it was very, very stressful. You were really limited in what you can do. You couldn't touch the kids, you can't punish them, unless you're a PE teacher. You can do this for about 30 seconds and see how long that lasts, right? So you can really torture them. So, it's true. I mean, there's things that we could get away with that the classroom teacher couldn't, because we have lots of acreage to make people run in. But, it's a lot, it was a lot of fun. But I was really stressed out, and so I kind of knew that you kind of know what you're in the right profession. And every morning the nurse would meet you with a glass of baking soda and water, and that's how I started my day. I was so stressed out from being in the school system. I thought to myself, every day I was in the school system, I thought, God, I wish I was in the medical field. But even in the stressful days in the medical field, I just thought today will be better. Does that kind of give you a clue that you probably know if you're in the right place? So, needless to say, I never did go into physical therapy, but right away I went into, and I started off in Fort Carson, and I was doing some volunteer work in their cardiology lab, which got me that kind of a background. And then I got hired by Penrose Hospital in registration. Now, that wasn't necessarily my calling, but I tell you one thing, it prepared me for what I'm doing now, because I could deal with inpatients, outpatients, and ER patients. And the best ones to deal with, believe it or not, are the ER patients, because they really do need you. Yeah. Outpatients just have an attitude. They think that they're in an emergency, so I'm just keeping track of my time. And so the whole time I was there at Penrose Hospital, I did retire from there in 1999, but in my first year there, I got injured. Workman's comp. I was on workman's comp pretty much the whole 14 years I was there at Penrose. I really understand people get caught in that pain loop. I was injured by a patient. It was a patient that was attacking another one of my coworkers, and Nick, you'll appreciate this, because I am a black belt in Taekwondo, and this patient was attacking the patient. She's 65 years old, and she's coming out of the room, got her by the throat. And I just came on the shift, and I came out there, and I saw this. I'm like, well, okay, this is interesting, because we were a trauma center. I worked at Penrose, and I just couldn't believe that this was happening. And I looked at this girl, and I said, good grief, you need to let go of her. And she looked at me, and I just really got, because this is a really good friend of mine, and you have to apologize the French, because this is truly what I said. I threw my clipboard down, and I said, break my clipboard, bitch, give me a reason. Because she was literally had this woman in a headlock, and she's 65 years old. And you don't mess with my friends or my family, am I correct? And so this one was built about like I was, and she was not coming off. I went over just to pull her off, and she pulled my thumb back. And that was one of my first hand surgeries. I've had 5 hand surgeries. It took 5 people to take this woman down.
Whoa. And
that's what I was challenging. But she was a psych patient, and they literally had grabbed her and threw her head first into the, because I'm going to 2-minute warning. Somebody can keep an eye for 2 minutes for me.
Dance.
Okay, so who's my timer? Okay, thanks, Rick. Okay, everybody. So just get up and dance. It was really interesting was because I had no idea I was injured, and that really kind of started my journey to become a chiropractor. Because when they injured my thumb, I realized they said, is everything okay? And I went like this. I tapped my hand on the table, and I said, ooh, my hand hurts. And it literally swung like a hula dancer. It just blew out the whole plate, and my thumb just from her pulling it back. So in a long story short, between 5 hand surgeries, because of this injury, I had gone through workman's comp, occupational health therapy, all this stuff like this, and you can imagine my brain's going, I'm going to be an occupational therapist, I'm going to be a hand therapist, because people typically go into the profession that they get help in, right? And so that's what I want to do, but what was interesting is that I started getting elbow problems from being in casts all the time. They sent me finally to a chiropractor because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and that's where I got help. Even for a year and a half, I could barely lift my arms. It just hurt to even just bring the sheet over. Couldn't hold a pencil. It was very, very painful. So when they sent me to a chiropractor, I thought, oh my God. I was going to be an occupational hand therapist, but I thought to myself, my goodness, they'd send me this person, and within a month I was bowling. And I had no idea at the time that chiropractors did anything with elbows. I didn't know that much about it. My first adjustment, I was 20, and he didn't really educate me on it. And that's what brought me to where I am today, because I thought to myself, holy mackerel, I can go to school, get $1 more an hour than I'm making right now in the emergency room. I said, or I could go spend about $150,000 and get paid what I need to get paid what I'm worth, and give people the treatment that they really need, not what an insurance company thinks that they did. And that's what got me to where I am today, and that's why you hear me talk a lot about extremities, because I'm very passionate about that. You know, if you walk, bend, or chew, you're a chiropractic candidate. So I think my time was probably up, but I didn't get everything in that I am because I am older than 29¾ so there's a lot more to my life than that. But that's what got me to where I am here today. And I just want to say thank you to B&I because I did start practice in 2002, and I graduated in September and October joined this chapter.
I remember.
And you guys have built my practice. So thank you. All right.